thank you for this wonderful day and this relatively mild summer. And we just ask that you continue blessing the season of rain, particularly on our watershed. And we ask that you guide us to do your will and what's best for our community. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Citizens' presentation for items not on the agenda. Okay, we have none. Okay, all right, any public comment on agenda items other than a public hearing? Anybody signed up? Nope. None on that? Consent agenda. Approve the minutes from the July 6, 2026 meeting.
I didn't see anything in there that needed to change, so I would move.
You can conserve it. Oh, okay, okay. And the Tamale Fest October 2026 request for half of the city park to hold an event. We're gonna do it here.
I would make a motion.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. All right. Regular agenda items for discussion and consideration. Sorry,
We'll keep going. Go get my copies.
Okay, we're going to go with the fiscal year 2026 budget amendment for the purchase of a John Deere motor grader, except the trade-in of a 2008 Volvo G946 motor grader at $28,000 for the purchase of a JD grader. I read all that on it.
Okay, so we found a grader, well, it won't be in, they're hard to find, but they are looking. They are the only ones that would have something that we could utilize while waiting on a grader. So they're gonna pick ours up, or did they already?
They took it, when they dropped this one off, they took it.
So, 28,000 like what the previous one had said, and then we're just waiting patiently for the new grader.
January is what it's looking like, when the new one is built in here.
Positive thing is we have a grader.
And it's not, and it works.
It's working. How long did they say?
Possibly January. And that's one of those that we'll do a cash sell or a cash purchase that we talked about. So we're not paying interest.
But in the meantime, I don't know if you brought them up to date for it, but we've got
Yeah.
one on lease.
Yeah,
from them where
$42.30.
We could do that cash.
That's the next one.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that's what it is.
Yeah.
They've been pretty happy with
And
it.
that's the hours on the machine.
Actually, I was used.
Yes.
Which is extremely cheap for a lease of any kind, I mean, it's very cheap.
Good news is it only costs you while you use it, right?
Yes.
So
This is just basically.
it's for a budget amendment when we purchase it. And then it's accepting the 28,000 as a trade-in. He's bringing us a check. Is what that first is.
We'll hear a motion to accept
I'll
this
make a
budget
motion.
amendment.
Is that a fair price? Oh, no, we talked about it right
So Caterpillar, the original one we're looking at, they were only gonna give us 25.
there. Okay.
So, I mean, 3,000 more. And the rental that Cat would not do, so.
I'll second.
Now, a motion and a second, any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? No, motion carries. Okay, the lease of a 2024 JD 6 cents per hour until the 2026 JD grader arrives.
I just want to be very specific on the
Yes.
agenda items.
Understood.
That's hours on the equipment.
Yes, hours on the
That's
equipment,
not-
not hourly
24 hours a
rate,
day.
right, it's an hourly rate on the,
Turn it off when it's not being ran, don't use it for the air conditioning.
right.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second, to release of the 2024 grader. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the interlocal agreement with Reynolds County for dispatch services for fiscal year 2027.
So, I emailed that agreement to you. Julia emailed stating that since they didn't go up last year on us, which it was kind of late for them to be sending an increase, we already had our budget done, that they went ahead and increased it more this year to the 91,000.
How would pay it, monthly, quarterly, yearly?
We pay them monthly. The more money we have in the account, the more interest. So,
Yeah, no, I was checking this
Oh,
for
yeah.
I mean, we can pay it, I mean, it's just, it's a monthly on here. but-
That's what I prefer to pay monthly.
Any changes in that?
I can't remember the last 5 years.
So day one or
Go
each
backwards.
Yeah, last year was
84.
84.
And then the prior year, that was when we paid what we had budgeted. And that was,
It's at 91 now.
And they're using the same formula, probably.
It's going up way higher than inflation. It's at 8.3%.
Yeah, I remember this discussion with Jason, was sitting around here, and it's 30,000. That's, hadn't been long enough to go for a bit.
And what is her formula?
it was in the packet, right here. They take the dispatch budget divided by the county population to get a cost per county resident. And that's $50.54 per county resident. I'm kind of confused because they're doing 9,900 in the county, right? That's the county population. And then they divided that amount by 2 for the residents in the city limits that should not be double billed.
So I've read that in the email. and
Yes.
It made me think, do they not know that us living in the city, we're still taxed as county
paying
residents? I'm wondering if they even
taxes.
know that already. Like, do
They
they
do,
know
I
that?
just don't think they I don't know, I don't think they see it that way. So we try to tell them that, it is a process.
Any amount over whatever we're paying in taxes is an extra tax for the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that, when they wrote that, I was like, I think that that's just not clicking, that we pay county taxes.
Right.
Is that why they think they divided by 2?
Then they divide it, they take that amount. We then divide that amount by 2, since we feel that the residents within the city limits should not be double billed. The per city resident cost below is 54 divided by 2 is 25.27 per city resident. 25.27 times 3,619, which is our population, equals $91,452.13. They rounded down to 91,000.
The flaw in that is that no other resident that's outside the city limits, they can charge that way. That's the flaw in that formula. But we might be back to the
Yeah.
It's August the 3rd. What's the timeline as far as?
Your budget has to be set. September 31st.
Right.
September.
It should be on the same calendar.
Yeah.
Do we have a comparable number? If we used our own formula, still trying to be, started this, I coined this phrase that I've been copyrighted 2 years ago, fair and equitable. Actually, I'm sure I stole it from somebody. I'd like for us to calculate what we believe would be a fair and equitable number. And taking some of the emotion out, I mean, it's not like it's not unimportant, the quality of the dispatch service, but let's just focus on the impartial numbers formula of what a number could be. That make sense?
We'll just say we did the formula.
We took them that formula last year. They did not.
Nothing was.
Well, how does it compare with the 91? That make sense?
It was for the city. Problem is what formula do you agree on both
Right.
ways that isn't double taxing the city residents?
Zero would be.
Exactly. Exactly, zero. Because it's gonna, no matter what, you're double taxing the city, inside city limits residents.
And they're planning to provide them service to winners and that.
Right, and they have their formula for that. They do the same formula for each entity.
But by the same token, just as we have a general fund, and we have everything that that general fund is supposed to pay for, we know what that tax rate is supposed to pay for. And it's not our water fee, it's not our trash fee, it's not a separate fee that is there. This is general fund dollars, law enforcement, and that should be in their general budget and their tax rate. And it should apply to all county residents already in the tax rate. So again,
My question is, without me trying to do the math on it, is what would our number be then? What was it last year?
That's your big.
84.
No, not what we paid,
That's
not
what
what
we
they want,
paid.
that's what they wanted. What would our number be? If we were sending out the memo, here's what we will pay, what would a fair and equitable number be?
What would it cost the county if we had no law enforcement?
That's
They were
another,
having to provide.
yeah, that's another thing that we brought up. It's not only, are they not having to pay that outside of the city, that extra tax for dispatch, but they are also not,
Responding,
getting city, you know,
providing services
police
within
to
the city.
supplement, yeah.
I've been told,
Getting less services for more.
Steve, you pick your memory back, and John, if you
Yes,
pick your
ma'am.
memory back. Several years ago, there was supposed to be, county took over dispatch.
Late 80s, early 90s.
But if I recall, there was some monetary thing that was agreed to then. Help me remember that.
There was.
It's in here. They're all over. Since
With all the tabs?
1998 minutes that
There
I've been
was.
reading since 1988. In my
But
spare time.
part of that was because they took it over because it was easier for them to take it since they were doing 911 than for us to have to do an upgrade.
It didn't make sense, if I recall, for the city and the county to
Both
to
have
duplicate
We're
services.
dispatching.
Correct, to have dual dispatching. So the county took it over, and back then, there was something.
Oh, yeah, it's probably around 30,000.
I think
But we
25.
they get something from doing the 911 service. I mean, that's a mistake.
That's when they, yeah, that's when they implemented 911 in the county.
yes.
So do you remember what our number was last year? Our proposed number?
That's what she
No, sir,
found.
I I
No,
just.
I don't remember having a proposed number for dispatch because it was, you pay it or you don't get the service. There was no trying to agree on anything. It was, this is what it is. And then, of course, we had all the fire department stuff going on too. So it was just I think it was just a combined, it shouldn't have been combined type deal, but there was no, correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
There was
no,
no
I
movement
agree.
at all. I mean,
No.
it was
You're
this,
right.
I mean, we don't, it's not a
But
choice.
we never, yeah.
And Ray said it was
I
gonna be
mean,
$500,000, sewer run.
Just in personnel, I think $307,000. It's not that most of the computers, next week I'll have all the computers set up, except for those that are provided. And then we've got the new radio in off that grant, so our radio console is in place.
Because that was one of the.
But it still would be beyond the physical computer.
Well, I mean, yeah, we could do it, just budget wise,
Yeah.
we don't have the money in there.
It could be in that piece, but I think it's more money than
So Lindsay, what is the overall dispatch budget for the county?
272.86.
And
I
that's-
guess my initial question was, okay, they're saying 91 is our part. And if we had our formula, what would we say our part was? 81, 71, 61, 51, you know what I mean? That's my thought process. I mean, because if our number would come up to be 81, it's like, but if our number came up to be 51, it's like, I look long and hard at that.
So at this point was when consider dispatching proposal, this was in May of '99. New and voluminous report of the council concerning the proposed $1999-2000 communication service budget. Proposed budget shows a total cost of $97,900, 50% up for the 911 service, and the other half to be divided with the county paying 17%, City of Ballinger 18%, City of Winters 11%, and the City of Mounts 4%. So even when we had it budgeted, we were saying that we were needing to pay, we needed to have a percentage of that as well. And the county did, that's what, you get what I'm saying? So City of Ballinger was calculating themselves as 18% of the county. I don't know, or,
So 502.72.86 times
17%.
20% is $90,049.11. The question I have, the question that comes is, from the standpoint of the 18%, which is that number, is the 500,272.86 a reasonable dispatch number for what we're getting? I don't know the answer to that.
Has it improved for dispatch?
That is roughly 18%.
I just know that the county itself, if they're using this formula, is the county itself taxing all the entities for that, and they're not paid, everybody else is paid for that entire budget. So they're not taking on any of that budget at all. You following me?
Right, it depends.
I do, but I don't know the real answer to that.
How much are they paying for dispatch? We don't know.
Well, the total budget is $500,272.
That was back then.
That's
That's
fine.
fine.
Now,
But what I'm asking is, they're taxing, or they're charging 3 entities this budget. So if we're paying
what was the
91,000.
amounts on the?
I thought that was, well, those figures were about 50%, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
So the other
18, 17,
50%,
whatever else.
the other 50% is from the county.
County that they're,
But they're getting something from 911 from the state.
it was kind of a cluster, because when all that changed over, this city had it down here, Dana was doing it over here, and then at 5, when Janice went home, everything swapped over to, and that was, it was at least mildly problematic. Which is, and Winters doing that, I'm sure that's why,
In winters,
that's why, you know, that's why they came up with the idea that, you know,
just do one
just
district.
do it one and it settle that down.
So I guess they are taking a percent of that from last year. They are paying themselves out of their budget. They don't have their proposed budget.
So the percentages that us other entities are paying is about half of their,
Combined half to match their half as well.
So,
since I brought up the question, seems to me it's August 3rd still, okay, so I don't see where even our formula would create a huge difference. And so we say yes, but I still think this is another one of those issues where we revisit it and discuss it and not be put down or otherwise dismissed. And so here's the deal. Here's our side, here's our story, and at least have a serious conversation, regardless of the outcome. I don't think it happens in the next 6 to 8 weeks, but at some point next year, we start early and talk often as needed to say, we need to talk about this. And
We've tried, but they know the position that they're in, which is take it or leave it, and it's in our best interest to take it.
are we on some kind of record as that?
No,
I like people who are not forthcoming to at least be in the public square held accountable for not being forthcoming. Oh, okay, so your attitude is, we can do it, screw you. And we shouldn't be guilty of that either. I mean, I'm an equal opportunity, whatever, you know what I mean? But
We had that open meeting,
It's all on video.
January 7th to 25.
and their argument was, we charged them when we had it under our purview, but the thing is, that, yes, we did, but that's because county residents don't pay city taxes. City residents do
That's
pay
right.
county taxes. So it's an ethical issue for sure, but we're been rock in our place, so we can't really do anything about it unless we get to the point where we can do our own dispatch and maybe, provide it to others to offset the cost, but still we'll be behind. And, unless you get somebody to have a change of heart, I don't see that doing it. We've tried.
okay.
Or, is it, no, I don't want to say that publicly, but there's another option.
Well, public square options. Okay.
you want to table this? What do you want to do with it?
So our calendar looks like we will be having a public hearing, on the next, we have to schedule that. Public hearing and then for the budget and the public hearing date for the tax rate. That be at our next meeting on budget. And then vote to adopt budget and adopt tax rate should be, in September. So. I guess the furthest we could push it.
Is for the 17th.
I don't think it's worth that, so. Not this year, not this time.
I don't like it, but I don't see how we have any other choice.
I'll put out some detailed strategy. So,
I don't mind, I'm gonna ask them for schedules of what their employees are out there. I think the budget, a lot of their budget is going to staffing out there.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think they're doubling and triple staffing on some times.
But they are, that's the biggest part of the
And not that
budget is
to
the
stir
staff.
anything up, it's just to kind of draw attention to some of the commissioners of what's going on in there. I think if I give them a look a little bit harder. Y'all will know, the sheriff's responsible for the jail, and the commissioners had to take over the responsibility of maintaining the jail. Already.
So.
I thought you were letting out, so either.
Increases,
Some teaching problems.
inflation,
What is
increase from last year,
costing people, you know,
is around $8,000 on this batch.
those guys might say, hey,
No, and I'm just looking at their budget for next year.
Any more discussion?
and personally, I'm ready to approve it. But I'd also like conversations to continue, questions or whatever.
anything about this year. Maybe next year.
Okay, so do you hear a motion to accept this interlocal agreement?
I so move.
And a second, okay. So we have a motion and a second to accept the interlocal agreement with Monroe County Dispatch Services for 2027. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, joint election agreement and contract for election services between Ronald County Election Administrator and the City of Ballenger for November the 3rd general election.
That one's pretty easy for the most part. It's the same one as last year, I didn't see any change. Of course, we'll be paying for any, the machines, on our part. And she does do an itemized invoice on that, she's really good about that.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the joint election agreement and contract for election services.
Marty Easton.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Lindsay and I were meeting with, our finance people to make sure we had all this down and get all the questions answered so we could give factual information. Our consultant did some further research at the comptroller's office, and it turns out everybody's maxed out, so there is no absent that could be utilized, whether it's in the city or the ETJ, so there's no sense in creating a district that doesn't have the capability to collect anything. So, having realized that this ordinance cancels that special election is moot.
Okay. However, we can start with the community relations if we decided to. My notes are not on me. After going back further, there used to be an industrial development board, and then there was another board that was economic, not development, something else. That was actually the budget, and there was funds in there that were dissolved. I don't know. I'm still researching. So there was that line in our budget at one time. Now, trying to find the resolution and all of that has been a little tough, but I'm gonna find it.
So basically what that means is there was some general fund money set aside to help kind of draw business and help with businesses, infrastructure, things like that. So that is something that the consultant is proposing that
And
we
then
can
he
look at.
proposed what is it called? It's,
A 380 agreement or a municipal non-profit.
it was something, it compares to economic development, but it's not actually, or an MDD, and it's taking general fund revenue, which, when we are more on, which we are on our feet, which is great, because we started in this budget, we put community relations, we put an amount in there of 20,000, I believe now. That we can designate that as a fund and utilize it as a nonprofit and get the same grants that an EPC or an MDD would get. And then the council would select citizens to be on the board to, just like an EDC or an MDD, to distribute how they want that money to be used. For example, if somebody in town, a business was needing a down, something, okay, we need $5,000, we need help, this is business, they have to bring a business plan, do all of that, that's what those funds would be for. And then you have more access to grants and stuff like that. So that's something I do want to bring to the table eventually, just to get that thought, maybe. Is it easier for council to, yes, would it be better, get the community involved on that board and have them kind of like the NDD? It's just, it's a thought and something that we can possibly move forward with since we are in a good position. Yeah. That's the other side of, obviously, the ordinance, but.
What entities don't have their taxes already maxed out for this would even be? I've never been to a town where they're charging me 7.75% on sales tax.
Yeah.
If who's not doing that already? So my question is,
Well, 8.25 is the max, and it's combined of county, state, and city. So it just depends on it's kind of a race to the tax office, who got there first or who got the election done first. So most cities are right there, but there are some avenues. We're not prepared to ask for county to give up part of theirs or the city to give up part of theirs, which is since we're all maxed out. We thought there was some extra room at the county level and the teacher level, there's not. And our consultant.
One of my questions, who has to give a what to this?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
long
yeah, that-
process of
that's the wrong
discussion.
thing.
Yeah, so we're not proposing that. We were under the erroneous impression that there was a little bit left at the county level, but there's not. And, so as Lindsay said, this ordinance cancels the special election is being moved, but we will be bringing back to you some general fund money options, to help do some things for business and creation.
Do we need a motion
Yes, please.
canceling this?
Yes, we
make
need a
said
motion.
motion, second said motion.
Okay. to continue the Hotter Than Hell cook-off, and they're wanting options to give to another entity. There was discussion of other park board members that were wondering if we did keep it, are we able to hand those tasks over, what it entails? So there's a lot of discussion on that. It is one of Park Board's bigger fundraisers,
That's our only fund.
it is your only, that actually makes,
Other stuff we do is for the community.
right. So that was just an update, I told them I would bring it to y'all and see what you thought, and discussion on that. And then we'll bring it back to them. I know that they have a lot more to discuss too on if that's something that they want to do and bring it to a vote, but we kind of want to get council's thoughts on it.
Tony and Jennifer have done it all 10 years, suffering from burnout. And a lot of us board members will go off in October. So we're trying to persuade Tony and Jennifer to stay on, do it one more year with help. And then decide if we want to give it to Rotary, Lions, Chamber, can't man it, Ballinger, Volunteer Fire Department, someone willing to take it over. Because it's it brings money to Ballinger. But I think they're suffering from burnout. Well, a lot of us are.
Which is,
It's a small board, there's only 5 on the board,
right.
so
And it's a big event, there's a lot involved.
it's huge.
There's a lot of work involved in that.
Everybody involved in any civic organization in town knows that nobody's coming in from behind to fill the roles, like everything should from Rotary Alliance. Right.
So, and Lindsay had mentioned maybe we couldn't just give it away without y'all's approval, so I didn't know what the situation would be on that.
I just worried about the income for the park board and what that was, it took over, what was it before the Hotter Than Hell cook-off, before it took over from the chamber?
I don't know what the chamber called it.
I don't remember what they called
The
it,
first
but
one
what was?
the first one we did, they handed us, I wanna say y'all handed it to us with about 3 weeks' notice.
Right. What I'm asking is, what was the fundraiser for park board prior to that? Do you know?
We've had meals, the circus, which is not a moneymaker, just different
I'm
ones.
wondering, I need to do some research, now that everybody's thinking, and see what the difference is from what was bringing in versus when now
You're not, no, there's no comparison.
it's just that much more.
The barbecue, the cook-off itself is sanctioned, whatever that means,
Right.
for the last 2 years.
Which is a huge help.
Yes, it's a lot less on Tony.
Yes.
Basically, all he has to do is register cookers, up until that point. But, Jennifer does sponsors donations for the silent auction and set up vendors and that kind of stuff, so.
Could you contract the labor out to somebody that does want to do it for a small stipend, or?
I don't know that we,
Well, and I don't know if it was necessarily labor intensive that she was talking about. She was talking more or less the advertising, the getting it all together,
time consuming.
time consuming, that.
Not labor time, because a lot of it is by email and phone calls now, so.
Just a lump sum, not an hourly rate, but like, here's $500 if you'll handle all this. It's gotta be somebody trustworthy, obviously. that should be-
Well, we've talked to these 2 people, and they're both very control freaks, okay? Myself, I'm related to them, I can say that. But it's our upbringing, if you want it done right, get yourself type thing, and it's hard to let go of that.
Yeah.
Because there's always that little bit of doubt, did it happen, did it not, so. But anyway, Lindsay was not sure that y'all would allow us to give it up, I guess. I handed it over to someone.
Not necessarily allowed, but just, I think something like that
Approve
needs to
it.
be a discussion
Yeah.
because it is such a big
Yeah,
fundraiser for.
it is, for balance, for us, and balance. Because people are eating here, they're buying ice and food and
got rooms,
Yes.
go down the list.
Much of, yeah, I mean, it brings people to town. This one, not so much, it dropped down to 21 cookers, I think. But I think that had a lot to do with the price of meat now. So, that hurt a lot of them, it's been good. So, that's where we are on that.
So do you think that if you kept it one more year with some help from some people that,
Well, the thing is, your board members drop off, in theory, and then you bring someone on that doesn't really know what to
Well, and
do.
I guess the other issue is, so Jennifer and Tony are supposed to drop off in October unless they're reappointed by the council. So if they drop off, nobody would know how to do really the cook-off anyways, so
Right.
then, but then I'm like, well, we kinda need to get at least one more person that would be able to help maintain that and keep it going and maybe take that over, but it just finding people and, you know, we have a few people that are interested.
didn't he
but-
say though he would stay to do it one more year?
Mhm.
Or continue,
Well,
unless
I
things
think
change?
all of us really are not ready to give up on the park board with the 8th Street project going. You know, you just kind of want to hang on and see that through.
Right.
So, now whether or not we get to stay on the board is up to, I guess, anybody else wants on.
That's the biggest problem, getting anybody else willing to be on board. And I understand the purpose.
But we still have time to talk to them. I mean, they can say, hey, I'm done. Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which Tony did say that he would like to stay on, and Jennifer, but, and if one of them needs to stay on and bring somebody in that would be interested in helping organize that and take Jennifer's place or vice versa, that would help and train them up to continue. But like you said, we don't have a lot of people jumping at the,
Right.
You know, like all the festivals, the church festivals, you've got a chair and a co-chair. And you get the chair here, next year they drop off the co-chair, automatically it's the chair. So you've always got that rotation, knows what's going on. The Advent Festival used to be the same way when we were on it, but that's been a
And
minute.
maybe that might be something that needs to happen is rotating through the park board is that way everybody that's coming up will know, okay, this is what they did, and next, you know, just have those agreements.
Well, if people know what's involved, they're not gonna want on. So,
And this was just up for discussion. All right. We will keep pensions. Okay. Budget items workshop. Fee schedule for 2027 splash pad.
The fee schedule in general, didn't know if y'all had reviewed that at all. We were discussing about adding the splash, we've had people approach Paul asking if they could rent out the splash pad for parties, which I think is a great idea, but pricing it on the other hand is, how do you price that? I know it's, okay, well, how much chemicals do we use, how much electricity, but then again, I'm thinking, well, we're not getting anything extra from people just using it freely anyway, so, you know, what is a good price? I couldn't really find out rental of splash pads.
What do they
But
know
it's-
how rent numbers is?
Well,
Like-
exclusive use of it.
Like,
I mean,
okay, for example, they rent the pavilion. The pavilion, if you rent the pavilion at the park, that is yours,
Right.
and you can and nobody else can use it that day, you pay an amount. It would be the same concept for the splash pad. Okay, I want to rent a splash pad, is it an hour, is it, you know, do we put a time limit on it and a price? You know, what is, and you know, your thoughts. The pavilion, I believe, is,
Lindsay, I did see an area of town that posted their splash pad rules, and one specifically said there is no private rentals.
Oh, really?
I was gonna send it to you, but I don't think I did.
So I wonder if it's just like not a good idea.
And I don't know how you charge to rent something that's not making any money anyway. I mean, it's free,
Right.
so.
And well, it's just if you
You're
want to
paying for
put
it.
Exclusive.
exclusive and nobody
Got
else
the
can
pool
come in.
after hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to have an officer down there. People get out of there.
Yeah, they need somebody posted.
I'm gonna tell you wrong.
Is it 50?
I think it's 50, but I was,
What else? Let's just change this what it used to be. So we used to.
Or what?
I think it's 50. I know we went up. I believe it's 50 for 4 hours. And then each additional hour is $5, and that's one thing we were wanting to change. A lot of people are, do you just do it for an entire day? Do you keep it broke up? It's $25 for the pavilion, the large pavilion, 15 for the small pavilion. That's for 4 hours. It's not much. We post a sign, and most people, I mean, we don't have it really, not, I mean, I don't think we've had any issues with that. People
I mean, it
just
could be as
know.
simple as we put up private parties.
Yeah, I mean, we put a sign on it, it's laminated, private party, we put the name, whose it is.
And take them out to say stay out.
Okay, I can print it.
Right?
Yeah.
Splash pad? You know, if in the absence of a number of expenditure, is it best for 2 hours?
I mean, and would you really want the splash pad running that long for 2 hours straight? I mean, would it run 2 hours straight? You know, is that, I mean, I know it would, but
Is there a max number of people that can be in the splash pad?
that would be
Safety-wise?
definitely we'd have to.
It wouldn't be under an occupancy code. It's not a building.
It's not a building.
Oh,
But we do
so
have an
wanting ready for a
occupancy, I
birthday
think.
party, take cake and drinks and everything else in there.
Well, they would have to have the small pavilion. I would say if you're renting the splash pad, no food or drinks inside. Just because it would be, I guess,
Some things to consider in that. We need
We need to come up with all the guidelines as well before we stick a number on it.
oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but even 50 for 90 minutes.
Right. Okay. The other thing is on the fee schedule, we had a local realtor that's kind of upset that he's having to pay the turn on and turn off fee. This has been a fee